Hey everybody, it's Snevitz, aka Brandon S, for another OpenToonz tutorial. What I wanted to kind of do today is I had learned OpenToonz from scratch, and I wanted to kind of share a little bit about my progress in less than 3 months, and what I think is important to prioritize with OpenToonz because it's quite overwhelming. Um, I did not come from any type of digital animation software. I don't have any experience, just completely a newbie. And there's just a couple of things that are really key to kind of unlocking OpenToonz. And so I think so just the first two things are, and this is really just a 30,000 foot high level bird's eye view of OpenToonz and just kind of my journey, and I'll get into a little bit more about specific things about, columns or tools in the toolbar and X sheets and the function editor and the schematic, whether the stage or the effects. Audio integration and other tutorials. But wanted to start out, the first thing you want to do is you want to download OpenToonz 1.4. So OpenToonz 1.4 is the latest variation. The second thing is, if you're not going to be in the drawing tool, then if you just want to draw, then you can ignore this next part. But for the those who actually want to export this and share this with the world on YouTube or anything else, you're definitely going to want to do something called Ffmpeg. You can subscribe here to Snevitz. That's my channel. But Ffmpeg, spelled F-F-M-E-M, excuse me, Ffmpeg, Ffmpeg. You want to make sure that is, when you go to File and you go to your preferences, that in the Import Export path in your C drive is Ffmpeg, is that file format, video file format for exporting to YouTube and other additional file formats. Ffmpeg does not come with OpenToonz. It is something you have to install separately. But just kind of quickly, going back to my journey, I learned columns, and here's the columns. There's column 1, as you can see. Column 2, I just put in, subscribe Snevitz, which is my channel. But it's really important to learn columns, and it also lends itself well to things like layering and when you get into the various 3D viewer and linking objects, parenting the nodes in the stage schematic. Don't want to confuse you too much, but start out with the columns. That's kind of what I learned. Recording audio, I haven't got into. There's a number of lip sync tools that automate. I've done some of the manual lip sync, but it's also important to have audio there as well. In my second month, I got into things like cutout animation, inverse kinematics, character rigging, the X sheets and the sub X sheets, because your columns can become quite cluttered. Let me just kind of go in here and show you how cluttered they can actually be. So let's see here, going to the okay, I just want to go into this is my latest cartoon creation. It's called Coffee Cough. You can find it on my Snevitz channel, but I just kind of wanted to give you an idea of how this cartoon is actually organized. Again, the columns, I can't emphasize this enough, but I've got different audio. The green are the audio columns, and OpenToonz makes it very easy with these are sound waves, and so you can actually sync the timing of this is my cutout animation here for my character. I've got arm, an upper torso, a chair torso, a lower arm, a hand grasping a coffee cup, and the actual steam. And I've different repeated sequences here. I've got window frame, and I've got a different type of breaking glass and glass panes, and I've got a mouth moving. So again, 21 columns for a 22-second cartoon. So it can get quite cluttered, and you're going to want to eventually, this is actually the X sheet here, this timeline, the X sheet, and I actually can go up here as well. But there's something called sub-X sheets where you can actually collapse all these columns into one if you'd like. You don't want to collapse your audio columns because they won't be saved in OpenToonz for the final rendering. But again, just to give you an idea of what is possible, again, I built this cartoon from scratch in less than well, the learnings took me a couple months, obviously, but it took me 10 hours to build this this cartoon, and it is really just a lot of fun. A note, wanted to get into a little bit about the 3D viewer. So I will go to my browser tab, click on I did a parallax a cartoon of an airplane and skyscrapers, and wanted to kind of show you a little bit. So here are the columns. Here is the audio, and wanted to kind of dive in just a little bit here with the 3D, and just kind of, although this is OpenToonz is a two-dimensional software, it's got 3D, well, fake 3D capabilities. So if I left click my mouse and hold down spacebar, okay, left click mouse, hold down spacebar, I can move the 3D viewer. So let's release that. And then if I hit shift, spacebar, left click mouse, I can scale my 3D picture. Again, this is not pure 3D. It's called forced perspective, parallax scrolling, scrolling backgrounds, scrolling foregrounds is another term. So shift, spacebar, left click of the mouse allows you to scale. And then if I want to rotate, I've got to hit control, spacebar, left click of the mouse. And that will give me a rotate. This is really, really cool. I can kind of see, now you can see the different layers and how they've changed. And then if I want to hit control, this is very important, this is the Z-axis right here, which gives you some of the 3D. And what it is basically is you have the table, which everything is attached to. Let me see if I could bring this up in the schematic. You have the table, which is at 16 by default, and then you always have the camera. Those are the two things that are given, and these are my columns here. I've got the ground, I've got skyscraper columns, got 4 different layers of skyscrapers, I've got different layers of clouds, and then you can also use different things, like if you want to blur the clouds and so forth, you can toggle back to the FX schematic. And so I've got some radial. Anyways, this is probably pretty overwhelming, especially if you're just starting out, but let's go back to the stage schematic. So we're back here. If you, this is the 3D viewer, okay, 3D viewer. So if you left click, you hit control, and then I've got the plane. Let's see what this does here. Yeah, see, I can move the plane. If I want to move the plane above the clouds, and you can kind of see where if I do a frame by frame, I could have the cloud, the plane flying below the clouds. You can actually go down to the ground if you literally wanted to, and we don't want to do that. But you could bring up. Now, this is kind of working as a scale position. So the key here with OpenToonz is if you want to keep the plane at the same size in the Z-axis, and if you bring, again, I'm hitting left click mouse, Control, hold down Control, left click mouse, grab the plane to make it go above the clouds. Let go. Now if I bring the plane past the 0 to a negative number, it now becomes, camera can't see it, and it will disappear. And as soon as I get to that positive number, the plane reappears. And one thing you can do is type into the z-axis. Let's say we want to have it at 8. That keeps the plane at the same size. So whether you move it towards the cone of the camera or away, or towards the table, or even behind the table, you can get in some 3D perspectives there, which is quite interesting. So I just wanted to kind of wrap up this tutorial very quickly, but again, I went from again, I'm Snevitz, aka Brandon S, and I went from literally no experience with OpenToonz to, in 3 months, being able to create some very interesting cartoons, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.